I'm on. Okay, all kinds of technical difficulties this morning, but we made it. Mama, we made it. Yeah, so she talked about, get my phone out here, talked about our planning meeting. So we do a planning meeting every year, and oops, wrong one. We do a planning meeting every year in January. We usually do it around Martin Luther King weekend, and so you guys are invited to come. It's usually, I'll just be honest with you, a lot of times it's just our team leads, those individuals that are leading teams. We invite to come those people that are involved in serving in that level. But this year, I really felt like opening it up to the congregation. So anybody that would like to come to be a part of that, because we're about helping people find their purpose and serve in any area that they can. And it's hard to find your purpose if you don't know what's going on, right? And so we want you to be involved in what's going on and find out where you fit in, because everyone has purpose and anyone can serve, and we're all expected to grow. The one thing that we don't like doing. And so we have that coming up. We also, just real quick, you'll probably get a notification on this if you haven't signed up. We do have a new thing that we're starting in January called Shorts. Say Shorts. These are short video segments that we have that will be coming out every week for you on our app. It's not going to be on social media. You're not going to find it on YouTube. You're not going to find it on Instagram. You're not going to find it on Twitter or Facebook. It's going to be specifically for our app, if you will. Okay. Let me see. Where was I at? Planning meeting sign up. Okay. So what I want to do is just kind of give you just an overall. It's like we got 2021 coming up. 2020 has been a sweet challenge. Everybody's like, yes. As we sit here with masks on our face. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is going into 2021. Right now, we want to be successful. We want to be influential. We want to make money. There are all these things that we want to do. And so in our lives, and as we do these things, it's challenging for us because of the situations that we find ourselves in and the circumstances that's thrown at us and the world throws at us and our relationships and so forth. But what I want to do is I want to ask you, if you could be more successful, would you be interested in being more successful in 2021? Yes. If you could be more influential, would you be interested in being more influential in 2021? Nobody? A handful? If you could make a difference in your world, maybe not globally, but if you can make a difference in your community, in your world, and the people that are in your lives, would you be interested in doing so? Yes. Okay, so most of us, we have that thought process of we want to make a difference at least where we're at in our lives and the people that we know. And so in order to do that, we have to have some understanding on some things. We have to know some things. And so what I want to share with you this morning is to help you be able to have all those things, be more successful in 2021, be more influential, make a difference, doing things that will help those in your life, yourself, and everyone else around you. And so I want to talk to you about currency real quick. Currency in 2021, in 2022, in the 22nd century, or should I say that in our 22nd century, so we had the 21st century, now we're in the 22nd century. But knowledge and understanding are the new currency of the 22nd century. Knowledge and understanding. And so what do you mean by that, Pastor? So I'm saying that if you have the right knowledge and you understand how to use that knowledge, that will determine how much money you make. It will determine the level of influence that you have. It will determine your level of success. It will determine how big of a difference or impact you make in people's lives by having the right knowledge and the understanding on how to use that knowledge. We've had areas in our life, in our community, and in our culture where money was the big thing that made influence. But today, understanding and knowledge of what is the currency. So if you have the right knowledge and you have the right understanding, you can have a bigger impact than somebody that has millions of dollars. Right? This is how you can, give you an example. This is how you can have somebody on TikTok go from being broke with a ocean spray to being a millionaire and have all this money and endorsements. Somebody, right? So it's about having understanding and knowledge. And so with the right understanding, the right knowledge will determine how much money you make, the influence you have, your level of success. It'll help you make the difference in your life, in everyone's life that you have that you're connected with. So can anybody tell me the top R&B song for 2005? The number one song for 2005? Let It Burn. What about the top country song for 2003? What about the New York's best-selling book for 2020 for 2010? 2010. Does anybody know the top-selling book? New York's bestseller. You say, well, Pastor, what does this have to do anything? See, if you had that knowledge, you would have some knowledge and some understanding. You would know why they were the bestseller. You would know who the best-selling author is. What we do is we live in a culture where we try to grab as much knowledge as we possibly can with zero understanding. But the idea is for us not just to grab the knowledge, but have the understanding of the knowledge that we have. In other words, being able to channel, being able to apply the knowledge that we have. And the only way that you can do that is have an understanding of the knowledge that you have. In other words, we like using our phones and our devices, and we understand how they work, but we don't understand how they work. Meaning we know what buttons to push. We know that we have to have Wi-Fi, a service provider. We have to have it plugged in. We got to have which apps to use, which. But we have no idea how the phone actually works. We don't know how the little intricate pieces, like how do you get all that, everything in a computer on a phone? Everything that's in a computer on an iPad or a tablet, right? And so we use things without having the full knowledge. But my wife, I give Pastor Mia a hard time all the time. She'll ask me, what's the weather outside? I say, you've got a $4,000 phone and you're asking me what's the weather is outside. Right? And that's what we do. Like we spend all this money on devices and we use them probably at the 10% capacity instead of using them at their 100% capacity. Okay, I guess I'm the only person who does that. Right? And so when you look at what that looks like for us, in other words, the more that you know how to use your device, the better and more efficient you are with that device. Now, I didn't know this. I found this out later, was that if you have an Apple product, there's a little thing on there, a little app on there, a toggle that says tips. You ever seen that? It says tips. But you have to activate that thing to say notifications, so it notifies you randomly on how to use your iPhone better. And I did that, and honestly, I did it on accident. I put notifications on accident, and then these tips started popping up. And I was like, what is this? So I clicked it, I opened it up, and I was like, and it showed me little tips and tricks about how to use my iPhone more effectively and efficiently. And I was like, what? I had knowledge and understanding. And then I started sharing that with folks. Did you know that if you did this on your phone, it would do that? And they're like, what? Right? And so that what we have to understand is a lot of times we're trying to create success. We're trying to make our lives better, and we're trying to grab all this knowledge without any understanding. Without an understanding on how to do it. So you can read books, but if you walk away from that book and not understand what you read, then you just wasted your time. You can listen to podcasts, but if you don't understand what's being communicated on how to apply what's being taught on a podcast, you're not getting understanding. You're not going to be able to apply it. You can come to church every Sunday and hear the word and hear the preaching and hear the worship, but if you walk away without understanding, you hear the knowledge, but if you walk away without understanding, you're not being very effective. And so we won't have a desire to be effective. So we have to determine or we choose to determine what we become and who we become. We get to determine how much money we make, how often we make that money. Had a conversation with someone early this morning. They texted me. They said, Pastor Solo, listen, I'm getting ready to apply for a job, and I'm having these things. And so they're listing all these things that they like about the job that they're at, and then they're listing all the things at the job that they're applying for. And the biggest difference between both jobs is money. That was the biggest influence. Most of us will leave one job for another because of money. And I told them, I said, listen, if you leave a job for money and you're considering what you're doing in order for you to make money, then you're motivated by the wrong thing. Because if you're making $100,000 a year, if you're making $50,000 a year, if you're making a little $30,000 a year and you don't enjoy your job, you're going to hate going to your job. You're going to hate your life. But if you're making $30,000 a year and you love what you're doing, then money has no matter. That's knowledge and understanding. And what I was trying to communicate to them this morning is that make the decision based on what you enjoy doing, not on your financial situation. Because if you can learn to live off of $30,000. Hello. We don't like talking about that because I'm broke. But you're happy. We can be happy with a little change. And we can be happy with a lot of change. But the idea is to be happy in doing what you're doing. I mean, if you can go to work every day and never feel like you're working, would you be successful? Yeah. I mean, because I meet people all the time when I go out to eat and they're waiting on me and they've got a master's degree, they've got an associate's degree, they got all these different degrees, they got a bachelor's degree, and they're waiting tables. But they're not waiting tables because they have to, they're waiting tables because they enjoy waiting tables. Does that make sense? And so what we do a lot of times is we take we take the knowledge and we don't ever apply the understanding. So it's up to us to determine how much money we're going to make, what kind of difference we're going to make, what success looks like. Nobody can tell you you're successful except for you. When you look at somebody, now you can look at them and go like, well, I see them successful. But your level of success or how you see somebody successful is determined by you. What do you determine as successful? Somebody that's making $100,000 is successful, but their marriage is ruined and they don't have any kids and they don't talk to them and the relationships are all messed up. Would you consider that successful? Or would you consider somebody that's barely making it, struggling, but their relationships are good, their financial situation may not be the best, but would you consider them successful? So we have to determine what success looks like. And a lot of times what we're living in 2020, going into 2021, and our definition of success is what everyone tells us it is. It's not what we decide it is. And so what we have to do is we have to decide what that looks like. You know, what we get to decide what our future is. Some of you, you're in a place in your life now where you're getting to a place where you're like, man, I'm 20 years old, I'm 25 years old, I'm 30 years old, I'm fixing to be 40 years old. We're all different levels levels in our life, and we thought we were going to be further along than we are now. And so we feel unsuccessful because we haven't reached that goal or we haven't met that goal. But it's not because you don't want to, it's because you have the inability to apply the knowledge that you have with understanding. It's like somebody, I know my dad used to tell me this all the time. I would make a mistake or I'd make a bad decision and he would check me on it and my response would be like, I know. And my dad said, no, you don't know, because if you did know, then you wouldn't do what you said that you do know. And that's hard. You know, when you're 19, 20 years old, 20-something years old, and you're trying to make these life decisions, and it's not about knowing, it's about understanding what you know. Understanding that if I do this, then these things are going to happen, or these things will not happen. And a lot of times what we have to understand is that we are victims of our choices. We are victims of our decisions. And if we don't understand that, then we're making decisions with lack of understanding. We have the knowledge, and we think because we have the knowledge, or we read the book, or watched the podcast, or watched the movie, or watched this or that, heard the message or the teaching, that we think everything's okay, but we're still making the same decisions that we were making 10 years ago. So we're 10 years older making the same choices and expecting the results to change. And we have to change how that looks like. So in other words, what we have to understand even more so is that is the currency of today's society, of today's culture. People don't want to follow someone who says that they know what they're doing. People want to follow somebody that they see they know what they're doing. Let me say that again. We don't want to follow someone who says that they know what they're doing. We want to follow someone who knows and we see what they're doing, right? So I was sharing with someone a couple of months back. You know, they were giving me a hard time about having all these businesses, all these failed businesses, and I'm thinking, man, yeah, I did have a lot of failed businesses, and some of them had two really good, successful ones, and I shut them down. Fast forward, you know, get saved, start going to church, you know, in my early 20s, and I didn't realize till I was having this conversation with an individual, I had two really good, successful businesses in my 20s, not in my 40s. Like, I shut a business down, or I shut one business down because I made a bad decision. I didn't have insurance in it. Right? But the business itself was successful. I made a bad decision. Are y'all following me? But I wasn't 30 years old. I was 24. And I didn't even realize that until I was having this. I was like, man, holy cow, I was young. And they're like, well, you haven't had any successful business since then. And I thought, man, that kind of hurt. But then I started looking at it. It's like, I've got probably one of the most successful businesses that I could possibly have today. It's called Riverside Community Church. You understand? You understand? So it's one thing to have the knowledge, it's the other thing to have the understanding. Because there's a business side of running ministry and doing church that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I believe that my failures in understanding and growing from the things that I didn't know and what I do know now has helped me to be more successful for the kingdom of God. Is this helping anybody yet? Are y'all good? Okay. Over in Proverbs chapter 23, I had to get some scriptures for the holy people. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. It says, for as he thinks in his heart, so he is. He eat and drink and saith he to this. It says, but he is in his heart. In other words, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. How you see yourself, listen to this, how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself successful, influential, in your life, how you perceive yourself determines who you are and what you become. And as you see yourself, other people will see you as you see yourself. But if you see yourself as unsuccessful, guess what you become? Unsuccessful. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you become undisciplined. If you see yourself as a failure, or not very good at relationships, then that's what you become. As you think in your heart, that's what you become. So you have to understand that you have to change the way that you think in order for you to be who you want to be. Okay, y'all are super excited about this. Genesis chapter 1, verse 11, it says this. It says, God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding after its own kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. He said, what he's saying here in Genesis, he says, every seed reproduces after its own kind. So if you plant an apple seed, you get apples. If you plant a lemon seed or lemon tree or lemon seed, you're going to get lemons, regardless of what it is. So a lot of times what we don't understand is as how we think about ourselves is what we produce. Whatever you're putting on the inside of you, that's what you produce. If you lack discipline, then you need to figure a way to put more discipline in your life. If there are things in your life that you're trying to accomplish, you're not going to be a great plumber if you're hanging around mechanics all the time. Is this helping you? You're not going to have good relationships if everybody in your life has broken relationships. You're not going to be real good at managing finances if everybody in your life sucks at managing finances. You're not going to be a good time manager if you hang around everybody who wastes time and don't understand what time looks like. Are you with me? And so we're trying to make decisions in this 22nd century and be successful without understanding the application of the knowledge that we have. It's not just about gathering knowledge. You've got Google University at your fingertips. I mean, you don't need a master's degree today. All you got to do is be able to Google and spell right. And not even spell right, kind of halfway spell it because it fixes it for you. Right? And you can know as much as a person with a master's degree who's been doing life for 30 years. I found out this about 4 months ago. I was blown away. I found out that I could go to college. Right now at my age, 50 years old, I could apply for college in my current college status of when I went to police officers getting associates. I could take that little small degree with plus my 25 years of ministry and life, and I could apply for a college, and I would probably have to take maybe 4 classes, and I would have a doctorate or a master's. And I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was like, what? And they said, yeah, man, I signed up for college, and I was wanting to get my bachelor's, and I had enough life credits. This is what I thought was funny. I had enough life credits and experience. I didn't have to get my bachelor's. I could get my master's. And all I had to do was take 3 classes. And I was like, man, you're way younger than me. I could get a doctorate. And he's like, yeah, for real. Like you could probably be a doctor or whatever, depending on what area of expertise you want to be in. He goes, it might be 3 classes, might be 2 semesters or whatever. He says, but it's about understanding the knowledge. And this is what was really funny, is that the younger people that are still in school are going, well, that's not fair. How is it that you can only take a couple of classes and have a master's or doctorate, and I've been in school for half my life? Hello. right? And we don't like looking at that, but it's understanding that just because you have the knowledge doesn't mean you have the experience and understanding. Let me say that again. Just because you have the knowledge does not necessarily mean you have the experience or the understanding. Remember, understanding and knowledge are the currency of the 22nd century. Every day, millions of people make really good decisions on really bad information. Anybody ever done that before? You thought you had all the good information, you had everything that was right, and then when you make the decision, you find out that all the information you had was wrong. See, it's not just about having knowledge, it's about understanding the knowledge that you have. And a lot of times what we do is we get the answer that we want and we stop asking questions. And the truth of the matter is when you stop asking questions, you stop growing. You stop developing. The hardest question to ask is the one that'll prove you wrong. Let me say that again. The hardest question that you'll ever ask is the one that you ask and it completely proves that you're wrong in your thought process and how you feel. And here's the thing. When you find out that knowledge, do you have the understanding to change your attitude and how you perceive things? Can you change your perspective? And that's where a lot of times we wrestle with is because we want to make sure that we're always right. We can't be wrong. And because if we're wrong, then it makes us look bad. All righty. Pastor Shell, I thought you was trying to help us. I am. I'm trying to get you ready for 2021. And I'll get there in a second. So, who in your life has the right to jerk the slack out of your chain? I said every day, millions of people make really good choices on really bad information. Who in your life can tell you, no, that's a bad decision, you're wrong for doing that? Who has that right in your life? If you don't have anybody in that right, if you don't have anybody like that in your life, you're walking around blind. If you don't have anybody in your life that can tell you that's wrong, you did that wrong, you did them wrong, you said that wrong, that wasn't right, you shouldn't have done that. If you don't have that person in your life, you're walking around the earth in your life blind. Let me give you an example. If there was a guy who was on the trails, walking on the trails, and as he's walking, you discover that he's blind, and you're just sitting there, and you're enjoying the view. Let's just, because we're in Waco, y'all understand this a little bit better. So we are at Lover's Leap, right? There used to not be gates there. You used to not have a fence there. It used to be just wide open. So if there was no gate, and you're standing at Lover's Leap, and somebody's walking along, and you see them, and there's two of you standing there, and you see this person walking along who's blind, and you see them getting close to the edge, do you tell them something, or do you just let them keep walking? Well, most of us would like you tell them something. But we live in a society today, a society where we want to be able to let people live their lives. Well, just let them walk. They're enjoying the weather. Yeah, but they're blind. It doesn't matter that they're blind. Let them discover where they're going. Let them discover who they are. Yeah, but they're getting close to the edge. They could end up dying. Well, just love them. Just love them. But they're going to don't tell them that they're going the wrong direction because you don't want to hurt their feelings. Don't tell them that they're doing something wrong because that might not be how they feel. And this is a life that we want to live. A lot of times we find ourselves walking blind on the edge of a cliff and nobody wants to tell us because they don't want to hurt our feelings. Because we will not give somebody the right to jerk the slack out of our chain. Instead of grabbing them by the arm and saying, excuse me, hello, there's a cliff there. You don't want to fall off that. I didn't even see it. Duh, because you're blind. And a lot of times we're walking on the edge of a cliff and we don't see it because we're blind. And we won't let anybody jerk the slack out of us. We won't let anybody say, hey, excuse me, you're going to make a wrong turn and you're going to fall off that cliff and die. We have to change our perspective and understand that knowledge and understanding are the currency. Even though you have knowledge, you have to have the understanding to be able to apply it. And what happens is if we don't do that, then we have people in our life that are constantly falling off the cliff. And we could be the one falling off the cliff because we're not allowing anybody to jerk the slack out of us. You will become who you think you are. If you think that you're always right, then you'll think you're always right. And everybody's walking around looking at you and seeing how wrong you are. Oh, we're super excited about this message this morning. So if you hang around broke folks, guess what you'll be? If you hang around dumb folks, guess what you'll be? If you hang around dope heads, you'll be a dope head. If you hang around folks that are always watching pornography, you're going to watch around folks that are hanging around pornography. If you're single and you're hanging around, if you're married and you're hanging around a bunch of single people, you're going to have a desire to be single. If you're hanging around married people and you're single, you're going to have a desire to be married. If you're hanging around people that drink all the time, then you're going to have a desire to drink. If you're hanging around people that vape and smoke, then you're going to want to do that. If you're hanging around people that always go into the movies, you're always going to want to go to the movies. Whoever you surround yourself with, that's who you become. Oh, we're super excited. Thank y'all so much. So, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 23. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 2 and 3. It says, fools, listen to this. Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. Doing wrong leads to disgrace and scandalous behaviors and brings contempt. Fools have no interest in understanding. They only want to air their own opinions. Doing wrong leads to disgrace and scandalous behavior brings contempt. These are the individuals that you can't tell them anything. You can show them right there. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody, and in the conversation there'll be 3 or 4 people talking, and somebody will say something, and then somebody will check them, and immediately someone says, I didn't say that. And the 3 people that are in the conversation, yes, you just said that. No, I didn't. Have you ever had those conversations? Yeah. Right? And if the lack of growth will determine that, or where that person is and where they're at will determine their lack of growth. If they're like, well, maybe I did say that. Or they'll be like, no, I never said that. And there'll be 15 people standing around there like, that's exact. They could show themselves on video saying it and they'll be like, I didn't say that. Right? Because they want to be right all the time. Who you follow after is who you become. Every seed reproduces of its own kind. Apples beget apples. Oranges beget oranges. Disciplined people beget disciplined people. Successful people beget successful people. People that make a difference hang around people that make a difference. People that have great impact hang around people that have great impact. People who do things and make strides to help people in their life hang around with people who make strides to hang out with people in their life. Proverbs chapter 13, verses 18 through 20. I got to finish up. Listen to this. If you ignore criticism, you will end up in poverty and disgrace. If you accept correction, you will be honored. It is pleasant to see the dreams come true, but fools refuse to turn from evil and attain them. It says, walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Are you the person that's on the ledge, about to fall off blind because you won't let anybody correct you? Or are you the person who's standing by watching the person get ready to walk off because you're afraid to correct them? Okay. Right? We have to make this decision. Knowledge is your choice. Ignorance is your choice. Respect is your choice. Attitude is your choice. Your friends are your choice. How you fail is your choice. How you win is your choice. How you grow in your faith is your choice. How you do not grow in your faith is your choice. You choosing not to make a choice is a choice. How we go into 2020, how we going from 2020 to 2021 is our decision. Now, if you think about this, I'm going to finish with this. The day that you were born and the day that you die, you go home to see with Jesus, there's right in the middle of that. What's that called? There's a dash, and that is our life. And everything that's in that dash will be determined by everything that we do in our life. The choices we make, the people that we influence, the people that we don't influence. In other words, our lack of understanding and our lack of knowledge is piled up in that dash. How much knowledge we have and how much understanding we have is in that dash. Our level of influence and impact is in that dash. The people that are in our lives that will remember us is in that dash. Our dash is more important than the ending numbers. We get focused on the ending number. Well, I don't want to go high. I don't want to die. I don't want to go home with Jesus. Hope Jesus takes forever to get here. And we're not concerned with the dash. I'm saying you need to be concerned with the dash because that's where the difference is. That's where the currency's at. That's where understanding and knowledge is at. That understanding. People, what are people going to say about you at the end of that number? Are they going to say, well, they were very selfish. They were always giving. They always thought about themselves. They never thought about themselves. They were very disciplined, or they had no discipline at all. You've heard those terms. Man, they're late all the time. They're going to be late to their own funeral. Right? What is it that people say about you? What do they know about you? Because what they know about you is determined by you. It's not determined by anybody else. It's determined by you. Your level of influence, your level of impact, or their lack of. That dash is what makes the difference. You get to determine what that dash looks like to everybody that knows you. And that's it's by having the knowledge and the understanding on how you do with that information that you have. So going into 2021, as we're looking at that, what do you need to be a better you? I can't tell you, only you can. I don't know what your goals and dreams are. I don't know what purpose God's put on the inside of you. I'm just here to help you discover that and make you better at it. But if you don't know what that is, it's time to start thinking. It starts to like, look, what do I need to do? What do I want to? Because when we started out in 2020, we were like, yes, 2020, man, new year, new me, everything's great. So, man, this is the year. We're going to have 2020 vision, and that 2020 vision got the glasses knocked off of you. You can't see nothing. Man, he's like, what the heck's going on? Somebody blinded you. It's like it was looking at 2020 is like looking at Rocky in the, I guess it's Rocky 1, where he's sitting there, and I think maybe 1 or 2, and Apollo Creed has beat up Rocky so bad that his eyes are swelled shut. That's us in 2020. And Rocky's sitting there on his stool, and he's telling Mick, cut me, Mick, cut me. And the reason he's telling him to cut me because he needs to cut the swelling to let the bleeding of the blood and the pus that's in there that's all swelled up so that he can actually see a little bit. So he can start fighting. And I'm saying that you think 2020 was bad. What if, I'm not saying it's going to be, I'm not prophesying, I'm not prophet-lying. I'm saying, what if 2021 looks a lot like 2020? Okay. I'm just trying to bring some sober reality to you because we live in a world of dreams and fantasy on our social media and our TikToks and our Twitters. But the truth of the matter is that our people that are following us on Twitter and TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and all this other stuff, they're not making the difference in your life. Hello. The people that are in your relationship in real life, they're making the difference in your life. If 2021 looks just half as bad as 2020, are you going to change anything about your life? If 2021 looks 10 times worse than 2020, what about you is going to change? Is your definition of success going to stay the same, or is it going to change? Is your definition of being influential going to change, or is it going to be the same? Are you still looking for likes in 2021 that you were looking for? Are you looking for retweets? What is it that you're looking for? How do you define success? Because what we want the rainbows, unicorns, and glitter. And I'm telling you that if you want success, if you want to be great, if you want things to happen, that you'll never have those days until your days are done. And they're in that dash. Okay, Pastor Sell, this is a depressing message. It's not that I'm trying to depress you. I'm trying to get you, don't quit. Don't stop. There's more on the inside of you that's going to make you more successful and greater and have greater influence and be everything that you can to be, but you've got to change the level of your thinking. You've got to change how you perceive yourself. You've got to stop hanging around the same people that you're hanging around. So you're saying the people I'm hanging around with are dumb. I didn't say that. You have to determine that. Well, I don't have any friends. Well, find some. Find yourself to be friendly. No one wants to hang out with me. Why? Nobody, I'm not friends with anybody. Why aren't anybody friends with you? We don't ask those questions because those questions have to define us. They start telling us who we are and what our problems are. And I want you to be good. I want you to have lots of friends. I want you to have great influence. I want people to listen to you when you speak. I want people to come to you and help you to be a better you, but you help them be a better them. It tells us in the scriptures, it says that we're to have life and life more abundantly. A lot of us are having life, but we're not having it abundantly. Don't wait to get to heaven to have abundant life. We should have abundant life here on earth. You should have abundant life in the lives that you're living, in the relationships that you're having. We get to determine what success looks like, what success is. We get to say that. Not 2021, not 2020, not 2022, but you get to decide that. Your choice, your decision. And so my desire for you is to be the best that you can be for God and those that are in your life. Because you're not on this earth for the people, you're not on this earth for you. You're on this earth for the people that you have relationships with and the ones that are coming and having relationships with that you haven't even met yet. But you're not going to be successful at it. You're not going to be influential at it if you're always in the same place doing the same thing all the time. So when you stop looking at what it looks like, when you stop to look and see what it looks like in your life, what does 2021 look like for you? If all hell breaks loose, if they just tell us, you know what, for 2021, you got to wear a mask for the rest of the year. What does that look like for you? If they come and say, okay, everybody, if you want to keep your job, you have to get a vaccine. What does that look like for you? Pastor Solo, what are you saying? I'm saying you have to determine what success looks like. What does it mean for you to be successful? What does it mean for you to have influence? What does it mean for you to be a great you in 2021? The person next to you can't tell you. You have to determine that. This is where it gets really ugly. You have to be able to hear what God says about you and then do everything you can to be who he's called you to be. And that's the part that we don't like. Because Jesus, God, Holy Ghost did everything at the cross. He said it's what? Finished. Everything else is up to us. And that's the part we don't like. We want to move out and have our own place until it's time to pay our own bills. And then we start looking for a cheap place. Looking for cheap electricity, cheap water. Everything wants to be cheap. And then when we have all the cheap stuff, we complain about everything that we have is cheap. Hello. Knowledge and understanding. Sometimes having cheap is not the best way. Okay, y'all super excited about that. So my goal for you, my challenge for you this morning is to rethink how you think about 2020 and 2021. What is your dash going to look like? Because you have January 1st, listen to this, you have January 1st, 2021, and you have January 1st, 2021, and you have December 31st. Shut up, lying thing. How do you stop this? Okay. You have December 31st, 2021. And in between January 1st and December 31st, there's a what? There's a dash. What is that dash going to look like for you this year? Because what it looked like for us in 2020 was not what we were thinking it was going to look like. Me included. Did you guys get something this morning? Yeah. Book suggestions? Read a book. No, I'm joking. What are you asking me? Read it. What do you mean book suggestions?
How are we supposed to define what success looks like? What should be our outline that we're looking at? What should be something that would guide us without calling you?
Without calling me every 15 minutes? What is something that? How can you? Is there an instruction manual to find out your definition of success? Is the question that's being asked for all those that are watching via satellite. Get it? That's funny. I thought that was funny. Technically, it is satellite, but y'all don't like looking at that. It's a little bit old school. So how do you define success? That's the hardest part. This is what we have to do, and this is what we refuse to do. This is the one thing that we refuse to do. It's not in a book. It's not in a podcast. It's not any of that, and that's where we want. We want somebody to tell us where it is the one place that we refuse to look as adults. And you know where that is? Inside of us. You've got to sit. How many of you have ever seen Blue's Clues? My kids used to watch Blue's Clues. I think they're still around. And he has a chair, and what is that chair called?
The thinking chair.
The thinking chair. You know what we never do? We never sit down and think. Think about what is success. Think about what does success look like. Think about how I can be better. We don't like looking at that because it hurts, because we find out exactly what we're not doing to be that. So if you want to know what that is, to answer the question, is you need to sit down, you need to pray, you need to say, God, okay, what is success to you and what is success to me? Help me to identify or define what success looks like. And when you begin to write that down, don't just think about it. Once you get it, the Word of God tells us to write it down, put it on paper, think about it. That's why we have on our walls here at the church, everyone has purpose and anyone can serve, because I believe that every person that comes through that door, whether they're saved or unsaved, going to church, not going to church, they have purpose, whether they believe it or not, and that they have opportunity to serve. We believe that. And so make the vision plain, write it down. This is what success is. Well, am I going to get it right away? You're not going to get it right away, but you need to spend some time doing that. Take 10, 15 minutes. It's going to drive you crazy, I'm telling you, because I do this all the time. It's going to take you at least a few minutes, maybe 15, 30 minutes, several times, whatever, to sit in a chair or even lay in a bed or sit somewhere. No devices, no notifications going off, no bells and whistles, no checking your Snapchat, no looking at your just sit there with a pencil and paper or pen and paper, not at your device, because when you have your device, you want to look at other things, but just with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, whatever it is, and just sit there and just think. This is what I call mining, digging. When you want something that's precious on the earth, you have to dig for it. Gold, you dig for. Diamonds, you dig for. Coal, you dig for. Minerals, you dig for. Silver, you dig for. Water, you dig for. If there's anything that's for us on this earth in the natural that is provided for us that has any significant of value, you have to dig for it. And I'm saying that if you want to know how to be successful, you're going to have to dig for that. Now, you can listen to podcasts and you can listen to read books and you can listen to teachings, but ultimately it comes to say you have to dig and see what it is that God has called you to do. What's your purpose? What's your why? Why are you doing everything? And it's not going to happen right away, but the more you dig, the more clarity you get. And you start figuring out, this is why I do this. Why do I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to work? Why do I work 12 hours a day? Because if you don't understand your why, then you get tired of doing it. But when you know your why, you'll never get tired of doing it. Did that answer your question? Yeah. So, that's a wonderful segue. Thank you so much for that question. So, 2 things. The planning weekend, not the planning weekend. Our session listen to me, man, I am in leadership workshop mode, man. Our services that we're going to have in January, we have, if you're watching online, we have round tables set up in our sanctuary. And so these tables are set up not because we're trying to be kind of crazy and bougie or whatever. These tables are set up because every service in January are going to be set up as sessions. And so every year I do a series called First. And so this year, what I'm going to be focused is helping you get to where you need to be successful in 2021 and further. That's my goal. Not just with scriptures and preaching, but we're going to have participation. If you need something, find something to take notes. You want to show up taking notes. You want to be able to write some stuff down. I'm going to give you some tools. I'm going to give you some things that are going to help you be able to be successful. And it's not just scriptures. The Word of God tells us this. It says faith without works is dead. So you can have faith, but if you ain't got no tools and you're not working it, then your faith is completely dead. You might as well just stop doing what you're doing. And if you're just doing everything and you're not applying any scriptures and you don't have any understanding from the Word of God, then you're just spinning your tires. You need faith and works. They work together. And so that's what I'm going to be giving you guys this month in January. And so come prepared to take some notes. They're going to be, it's funny, but they're going to be sessions more than services. And I'm going to treat it that way because I believe that every one of you that are watching, all you guys that are here in service, I believe that there's greatness on the inside of you. I believe that God's put something on the inside of you that I need, that the people that are sitting at your table need, and the people that are in your life, your coworkers and your family, they need what's on the inside of you. And the problem is that we're going to have to dig it out. I'm going to help you dig what's on the inside of you out because you're a diamond in the rough, if you will. There are some things on the inside of you. You have some precious things on the inside of you. And my goal is to help draw that out so that people that know you can be like, oh my gosh, where did you get this? And you're not going to be able to say Riverside. You're going to be able to say, man, God showed me this. This is what God showed me. This is what I've been learning. God's showing me to do this or how to do that and imparting some things to you guys. So just know that we will have tables set up for the remainder of January. And this is basically kind of a kickstart, man. I want to get us going in that direction because I'm not successful unless you're successful. And God wants us to be successful. He wants you to be successful in the kingdom of God, not just in your life, but for the kingdom of God. And when you understand what that looks like, it changes how you do things. It changes why you do things. And it changes what you do. And so I wanted to share that with you so you kind of have an idea of what that looks like. Saying that to say this, that we have some thank you bags for you folks that have been serving and giving, serving during this whole year of craziness. You guys have just continued to serve. And so I don't know how I'm going to, Misha, how are we going to do this? Any idea? Just come up and get their bags, or do we want to give the bags out? Yeah, come help me, because I'm not sure what I'm doing. Service is over, but I'm going to give these, I want to give some stuff out. So me and Pastor Mia wanted to give you guys bless